Back to our top story. With a suspect in custody and authorities trying to sort out exactly what's behind the weekend attack during a Hanukkah celebration in Rockland County, word that a private truck with armed security officers will be patrolling the streets. The man at the helm of the company, former NYPD detective Pat Brosnan, joins us now.
My pleasure.
Tell me specifically, what is it that your company does, and how did it get involved in this particular incident, and what are you doing?
We offer technology-infused security services. I know it's a mouthful, but what it means is we basically, rather than just providing security guards, which is what we do, security officers, we actually provide these officers with the best tools, the best technology, the brightest, the most recent technology, relevant data that gives them situational awareness, and then we put a process into it.
What is happening in your mind as to why the Jewish population is so much more vulnerable today than they may have been 10 or 15 years ago?
I think it's actually a confluence of a number of factors, not the least of which is these hate-filled chat rooms on the internet that both promulgate and empower disenfranchised individuals who may be emotionally disturbed or otherwise have drunk the lemonade as it relates to buying into this bigotry and anti-Semitism.
Pat, you're doing awesome work. We are so impressed by the fact that you would do this free of charge on your own because of your commitment to this community. And I think more people should listen to your message about what we can do to prevent it. Thanks so much for being on the show, my friend.
My pleasure. Thank you.
If you think we have a homeless problem in our region, you are right. In fact, recent figures show at least 62,000 people are experiencing homelessness in New York City alone. And Mayor de Blasio is calling on the Trump administration to help.
Donald Trump has not shown any willingness to give us the tools we need, most especially Section 8 vouchers, which allow people to live in rental housing. That's the single strongest piece we need from Washington that we're not getting right now.
The mayor commenting Sunday on Fox News as he pitched his latest homeless initiative, The Journey Home, which is focused on long-term homelessness, those on the streets for 2 to 5 years. The plan's goal? To get those people into the system through extensive intervention focusing on all of their needs, including mental and substance abuse help. All right, on our A-plus panel tonight, we have Alison Young, Republican strategist, and Garland Nixon, radio talk host. Alison, I got to start with you.
Sure, Bob.
I got to be honest with you. I saw this de Blasio interview on Fox News. I am watching so much finger pointing. It's the feds, it's the state, it's the city. Can't we all just get along? Can't these people resolve this? Or is it seriously, a lack of political will really in the end?
Of course it is, Bob. This is really rich coming from Mayor de Blasio, right? He's been in office now for almost 6 years, and now all of a sudden it's President Trump's fault because we're approaching an election year. This is political theater and nothing less. The real tragedy here is that of the 60,000 people in homeless shelters, 22,000 of them are children. So what the mayor has not done and what they're not addressing in New York is talking about the other factors that involve homelessness, like joblessness and domestic violence. You talked about some of the mental health, but we have to talk about what the whole entire issue is here for families.
Yeah, Garland, my experience as prosecutor, we worked very deeply with the community, is that there's a lack of will. And sometimes there's so many different resources that are overlapping, interlapping. One hand doesn't know what the other hand is doing. De Blasio says he wants Section 8 vouchers so they can get them into low to moderate income homes. Then you have other communities that don't want that there. They want regentrification. What's your solution to this?
Well, and let me add this. I can see part of the problem in the story. Part of the story is President Trump said, if they ask me nicely. They shouldn't have to say, Mother, may I, or Simon Says. If we've got the money to fix a problem and people are suffering, fix the problem. And President Trump's making a big mistake by making this personal and demonstrating why we have these political problems in the first place and we can't fix things like this.
Alison, I think Garland is making an excellent point. It is really, in my mind, despicable that we turn this into, if you really like me and say pretty, pretty please, we'll take all of those tens of thousands of people and those kids that you say are on the street, and maybe, just maybe, you could trust me that I'll do the right thing, and maybe not. Is this not just unbelievable as far as partisan politics is concerned?
I don't know that that's quite it. when some of these big city mayors like Bill de Blasio and Jim Kenney in Philadelphia, at every point they can stick a fork in the president's eye, they do it. And then they turn around and blame him when maybe he doesn't feel like playing in their sandbox. It's a little petty on the part of the president, but let's be honest here, like they were throwing stones long before they got them back.
Thanks, guys. Great discussion. Emerging details tonight about the man facing federal hate crime charges after allegedly storming a Hanukkah celebration in Rockland County. Our Monica Guy has more about Grafton Thomas and what investigators say they found on his computer.
This is the action of an individual who for a long time has decompensated. He's been treated in mental health facilities. It may be that he was non-compliant with medications which were prescribed to deal with his severe depression and other manifestations of psychosis.
A journal containing references to anti-Semitism and Adolf Hitler were found in the home of 37-year-old Grafton Thomas. Investigators say a search also uncovered that Thomas was looking up the locations of synagogues near his home. Lawyer Michael Sussman is representing him.
We were able this morning to go to the home, Reverend Page and I, and review scores of papers which frankly show the ramblings of a disturbed individual, but there is no suggestion in any of those ramblings and pages of writing of an anti-Semitic motive, of any anti-Semitism.
Wearing a white jumpsuit, Thomas was taken into federal custody and escorted to White Plains, where Monday he faces charges related to the Saturday night attack that happened about 20 miles north of the city. Characterized by his family as a germaphobe, Thomas was covered in blood and smelled of bleach when he was arrested in Manhattan 2 hours after the incident in Rockland County. In a separate incident in Highland Park, New Jersey, police are investigating anti-Semitic graffiti found on the sidewalk outside a synagogue. In an interview with Chasing News, the Anti-Defamation League talked about an increase in anti-Semitic attacks in New York and in New Jersey.
When it comes to these incidents, we saw an increase in assaults of about 55% from the year 2017 to the year 2018.
Thomas's most recent address was in Greenwood Lake, New York, where his mother lives. But his family says Thomas grew up in the heavily Jewish area of Crown Heights, also the location of several anti-Semitic attacks in recent weeks. For Chasing News, I'm Monica
A Texas
Guy.
man is also doing something with old Christmas trees, turning them into custom canes for veterans. Jamie Willis served 8 years in the Army before he became disabled and unable to work. Willis was searching for a more reliable, better-looking cane when he came across a Florida organization called Free Canes for Vets. He found out they had no more canes, but the founder, Oscar Morris, offered to show him how to make his own. Jamie Willis is the fifth vet to open his own branch of the organization in 2016 and has made and sent over 220 canes to veterans around the world. Joining me now is Jamie Willis. Jamie, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
I mean, this is like really an awesome idea. What kind of level of satisfaction does this give to you and others that do this? And what has been the response from the veterans?
It's not about me. It's about getting the canes out to the veterans. I just want to show my appreciation to them for all that have served. It's just something to pay back their self-sacrifices. It's the least that I can do.
And are they as good as the canes that you could just purchase in a store?
In my own opinion, I think they're better. They're more sturdy. The ones that the VA gave me, they kept breaking.
What are the costs of these things, and are they picked up by insurance or any kind of governmental program?
No, all of this is out of my pocket. I do everything out of my own pocket.
Wow. Well, I won't ask you, my last question was, I assume that you're not a big fan of artificial Christmas trees. I'll leave it at that. Jamie Willis, thank you so much for your time. You're doing a great service. We really appreciate it. Turns out tattoos aren't taboo for everyone. A recent survey from the New York City Department of Health and Mental Hygiene found that almost 1/3 of Big Apple residents surveyed have gotten at least one. Jane Burnett went to a local tattoo studio to hear from the pros.
I visited Euphoria Ink Tattoo Studio and Body Piercing in Roselle, New Jersey, where the owner told me this body art is a lifestyle.
I love to tattoo. I love to show my art on people. And when people show nice pieces or nice tattoos, art that I do for a living, it's like a walking canvas. And they ask who did it and say I did it or my shop did it.
He's been tattooing since 1994, opened the studio in 2009, and competed on Paramount's show called Ink Master. He recommends doing your research and listening to the artist before diving in. One of Tito's clients is getting an eagle tattooed on the back of his leg today. He agrees that this body art is addictive.
Now, the pain's worth it, and then after, when everyone's looking at it and saying how great it is, it makes you want to come back.
Euphoria Ink's owner, who goes by Tough Tito, says people love tattoos because they're part of their character and personality. My friend, who actually got all 5 of her tattoos done at Euphoria Ink, explains what happened after she got her first one, the small word perseverance on her ribcage.
As time went on, it started to have more and more meaning to me. It was kind of a nice thing to be able to see, even though other people couldn't see it unless I was in a bathing suit or something. Just to have it there to remind me to keep going as sort of a little positive affirmation for myself.
Erin says she's had a very positive experience with tattoos during her career. She used to work in a restaurant that didn't frown on them, but she covered her arms at first when she switched to her current office setting. She was relieved to find out that a bunch of her senior colleagues show theirs. In Roselle, New Jersey, I'm Jane Burnett for Chasing News.
Okay, thanks, Jane. Let's bring back our A-plus panel. Alison Young, Republican strategist, Garland Nixon, radio talk host. Garland, I'm going to start with you. Something I found fascinating about this is that depending on what borough you are in New York, the statistics are much different. Like Staten Island is higher than Manhattan. Is this a cultural thing, or the Manhattanites just not have as much access to these tattoo parlors that the folks in Staten Island have?
Oh, I guess they're just so crowded in Manhattan they can't move around and get to the tattoo parlor. But here's my advice for anybody thinking about getting a tattoo. Measure 1,000 times, cut once. Think about it. I have a friend who's loaded with tattoos because her boyfriend was a tattoo artist. A year after she broke up with him, she's like, oh my God, what have I done?
Yeah, I get it, girl.
The impulse buyer ain't the tattoos.
You had a friend that had that happen to you.
Right.
I understand. In the workplace, though, this can have significant impacts, at least it used to. Is that abating at all? Is it getting less? Or do you have to be concerned about what you have and what people in the workplace see?
If you'd asked me 10 years ago, I would have said be concerned. But now I feel like it's anything goes. And people aren't concealing them as much as they used to. It's more about your individual identity now. I will say where it doesn't work, though, is in temple, because there is still religious objection to this in the Jewish faith. And it goes back to people considering the tattoo similar to what was done in the Holocaust or the Torah's prohibition on it. But even that's not absolute. So you see Jews getting tattoos now,
Excellent point of view, guys. I'm sorry, we have to wrap it up. I apologize, guys. We have to wrap it up.
All right.
Great conversation as always. Thanks so much.